Baton, Alex Pereira, coming back here against the man who never lost the belt, Jamahal Sweet Dreams Hill. There's a great story. The UFC didn't really promote this well at all, in my opinion, but there's a great storyline here. You and I have talked about this off screen. You know, he beat Glover. They had that stare down. They had that mini kind of like where they're sizing each other up, you know?
And it was joked about at the time, right? But we didn't know for a fact, like, we were going to get here eventually or if the stars were ever going to align that way. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of things still had to happen to get there. And at the time, we were still getting into the Izzy saga and dealing with the old Izzy situation still before we even got to that point. Because that fight happened
January of last year.
Yeah, and then a few months later, then Pereira fought Izzy and lost, right?
Yeah, then moved up to, which, by the way, I mean, Alex Pereira, active as fuck. You got to give the man credit. I mean, coming in here.
We just don't have a lot of time either.
No.
But granted, he is fighting up in the weight classes where, like, age seems to kind of work or function a little differently.
I mean, yeah. I mean, light heavyweight and heavyweight. If you're going to be an old dude, which I believe he's 36.
Going on 37 this year.
Not an old dude, but kind of, a little bit old for MMA. Dude, and you want the craziest status. This is going to be his 5th fight in a row where he is facing either a former or current UFC champion.
Well, we see it now, Josh. Sean Strickland, now former champ.
Strickland.
Adesanya, former champ. 2 fights with him. Yeah. Blachowicz, former champ.
Man who Izzy couldn't beat, by the way.
Yep.
And beats Yuri.
Yuri, former champ. And we'll be fighting Jamahal Hill.
Another former champ.
Or current champ, however you want to look at it.
I mean, the man never lost the belt, So you can definitely, he has some piece of the lineage, So, look, dude, I am as time's gone on, I've become more excited for this fight.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know about you, man.
It's deserving of a main event.
It's a good.
Is it 300? I don't know. I don't want to say it isn't.
Probably not. But at the same time, it's like. I think it's one of those things too. Like if you took the names away, and I also think if Jamahal Hill if he's not rushing back from injury and he had not torn his Achilles and he didn't have like the weird scenario with Glover where he got the title shot where it wasn't necessarily deserving and he was like ranked 9 or something at the time because of all the weird shit happening at 205. I think if you took the names away, people would be more excited.
Do you think this would be different if this was Pereira Izzy at 205?
Oh, fuck
as a UFC 300 main event.
Dude, I mean. Well, yeah, 100%.
I just had to put it out there.
Well, I think whenever that third fight happens, it's going to be one of the biggest fights in MMA history.
Well, they have a lot of history in general.
I mean, what is it? 4 fights combined now, through kickboxing and MMA.
2 in MMA, a trilogy on the verge.
Trilogy in MMA, and they both have wins. And, even then, it's like, I remember at the time, and everybody's like, oh, Izzy's never beat him. I'm like, man, did you guys watch that first kickboxing fight? He kind of did beat him.
Did you guys watch that first MMA fight? How it was going?
Yeah, exactly. These guys are so competitive, but that's besides the point. In regards to competitiveness in this fight, dude, I mean, the big question for me is Jamahal Hill rushing back. I mean, he tore his Achilles 8 months.
And he's talking about a lot about stand-up, wanting to keep this fight on the feet. Mm-hmm. Doesn't talk about going to the ground a lot.
Yeah, I think if this were Jamahal Hill in like a normal circumstance, I think I'd have I'd consider this a little, just to spoil a little bit. I'm picking Poetan, and I don't think that's that surprising. I think most people are. He's a decently sized favorite, like a minus 165 last time I saw. But dude, I mean, Jamahal coming back 8 months after tearing an Achilles. That's the type of thing you need like a year for minimum, typically. But he admitted it. He's like, you know what? I was eyeing 301, 302, but they threw a lot of money at me, so. Can't tell him no, so he's back, dude. I mean, do you think that's someone to kind of keep an eye on Saturday?
I think it was a factor no matter what,
Yeah.
Regardless of what fighter it was or who it would be, what weight class or whatever. And it's been a while since he's just been in the cage and fought. Like, how long has it been since he actually fought? Like, what was his last fight date?
It was Glover, and it was January of 2023. So he's been out for 14 months?
Over a year.
Yeah.
Over a year, no cage time. Recovering,
coming off injury,
just training. I mean, that's a tough sell. But granted, though, and if he wasn't talking about like doing all this and that and keeping it on the feet, but at the same time, it could be all facade, right? Like he could just be saying that, selling it, and then fight of doing a lot of clinch work, maybe taking it to the ground or whatever. At the same time, the one nice thing about, and it's crazy for Alex Pereira, it's like the one thing he only has to worry about developing is working in those clinch exchanges, getting up, not getting submitted. And we've seen that is definitely happening. Like that evolution is coming into his game. The thing is, I do think no matter what, though, if he does face like that really hardcore, heavy wrestler, which there isn't that many at these weight classes up higher, he will certainly get into trouble. Like we had a guy like DC around at 205. I don't know if he would beat. Like let's just say exactly who Daniel Cormier is, all his accolades and all that. Put that into a fighter now. If that was him, ex fighter, and that person fought Alex Pereira today, I'm not sure Alex Pereira would beat that archetype of fighter today. In my opinion.
No, I agree with you.
I mean, he could knock him out. We've seen it time and time again, right? He has that ability. But I mean, to kind of finally give my pick, Josh. We haven't even said this, Josh. This would be a special edition of the podcast. We will be picking every single fight. We haven't done that in quite some time.
I can't remember the last time.
I think in the original first episodes we used to do it, but because I was still getting into the sport, trying to learning about all these fighters on this history, it was kind of hard, and we realized that the dynamic of the fight, or the dynamic of the pod, didn't benefit from it at the time. I feel like if we did that now, we could definitely function for the most part. But this one is deserving of every single fight being talked about, and we're going to discuss every single fight going forward.
Hell yeah, man! And I'm assuming that you're on the same page with me.
I think I'm going Peloton. By the way, what do you think? Knockout decision?
Yeah, I think he's gonna knock.
I think this fight ends in a knockout, no matter what, whoever it is.
100%. I mean, look, we haven't really seen Jamahal Hill rock in the UFC. The one loss, obviously, to Paul Craig, where he snapped his arm. And by the way, I mean, Jamahal Hill's a dog. I mean,
he still wanted to fight.
He still wanted to fight. I mean, did you see him fucking when he was sitting in the cage afterwards? He was waiting for the fucking bus, dude. He didn't really give a fuck.
Just holding his
arm. Holding his arm, just like, dude's a dog, and coming in here. Well, I mean, I guess we forgot to mention one thing. I mean, he actually got a TKO win in December. I mean, so so coming in here, not entirely out.
You're gonna get in trouble, bro.
Nah, it'll be all right. Probably not, actually, but hopefully he doesn't see me. But anyways, yeah, I mean, taking Poatan probably by finish, man. I think the fact that he's coming in here also with the Achilles, dude. There are a few better leg kickers than Poatan, too.
That's the other thing, right?
He is gonna target that thing like fucking nothing. It's just crazy. But anyways, we're gonna preview every fight. Going one down. Zhang Weili, Yan Xiaonan.
China number one, guys.
China number one. I don't know why they didn't put this fight in China. It seemed like that made a lot of sense. But I mean, hey, you need a title fight for UFC 300, another one. So this is what we're getting. No disrespect to Yan Xiaonan. No disrespect. Just coming in. I believe her last fight was that knockout win where she just blasted Jessica Andrade.
Yeah.
That was
first finish in the UFC.
Yeah, nearly a year ago. I think Zhang Weili's I think she's gonna go out there and probably dominate the fight.
I mean, she looks like an all-time great.
She is. I mean, I don't see anybody right now at 115 that's gonna really challenge her too much. You know what I mean? I think she's gonna go out there and dominate. And no disrespect to Yan Xiaonan. I mean, she's had a great rise. I thought she deserved a title shot years ago, and she kind of struggled a bit, and they just kept on throwing her girls. I think she's gonna get destroyed though on Saturday. What do you think?
I think that is a possibility. But granted, though, people can arise the moments. People can level up. People can show a new layer. And there's a lot of time to prepare. Weili has a lot of footage out there. But at the same time, I think the other thing is Weili has evolved. She's ever evolving. I'll give her credit. I feel like out of all the female champs, I've seen her fight to fight, improve in some capacity or get better. I don't think in history, and it's for a number of reasons, you've seen many female fighters improve areas of their game like she has. Like if you really break it down, Josh, like how many guys have you seen have a weakness and evolve it and do it better in the next fight or use it? Because she out-grappled Esparza, submitted Esparza, right? If I remember right.
Correct, yeah.
Which is like crazy. Yeah, that doesn't get enough credit.
Which, by the way, dude, if you want to see how this fight's going to go, and granted, this fight was 2 years ago, I believe, at this point. Go back and watch Yan Xiaonan versus Carla Esparza. Watch that fight. Just see what happens. And look, I like Carla. I picked Carla to beat Rose. So I'll say, only person on earth. Granted, it was the worst fight of all time, but still, So, dude, Carla went through her like fucking butter on the ground, and it's like, dude, I don't like to compare fights to fight. You know what I mean? Like just fighter math or whatever. But dude, you cannot watch Carla Esparza go through Yan Xiaonan, scarred like butter, and then think like Weili's just gonna,
Yeah.
And also, dude, like you mentioned, Weili is improving fastly, fight to fight. She came to the UFC as a striker, man. She knocked out Andrade. She came in, put on that epic fight with Joanna, 2 epic fights with Joanna on the feet. But the last few fights, she's been going to the mat. She trained with Triple C for a bit, Granted, not anymore, but she stayed there for a couple fight camps. You can see her development. I think she's going to take Yan Xiaonan and beat the piss out of her on the ground. Honestly. Yeah. I'm going to go probably Weili, even...
I could see a sub or a TKO on the ground.
I really could. I'm thinking Weili probably by TKO. I would not be surprised to see Yan make it to the scorecards because you can kind of see in Weili's last fight against Amanda Lemos where she beat her up, but she wasn't looking to pass. She wasn't going for a whole lot. She was kind of content. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
To just secure the win. So maybe that could happen here, but I think regardless, we're looking at a magnum jump.
Also, she got to feel those 5 rounds through grappling because she's felt those 5 rounds through stand up, and that crazy stand up Joanna fight, one of my favorite fights of all time.
Yeah, one of the greatest.
Always got to highlight it. But you're not wrong. I do imagine she'll take her down, and finish it on the ground, especially because like that's where Yan Shanan's difficulties have come from. Granted, though, Josh, we don't know. There could be some level up. There could be some changes there. There could be some improvements. And they could be preparing for that. I'm assuming they're preparing for that at max capacity. I feel like both these girls' camps probably game plan very well.
That's my expectation as well. But at the same time, man, I just think skill for skill, I think Yan.
I feel like Zhang has a good lead above her, but I think Yan. I think Yan.
Maybe she could catch her. I mean, she knocked out Jessica Andrade.
I feel like she could surprise us. But I wouldn't bet money on it.
Yeah, I mean, the only person I just even looking forward, dude, after this fight, the only person I could see competing with Zhang is probably Tatiana Suarez, and even that's a big question mark because of all the injuries.
Yeah, a lot of other questions to that too.
Yeah.
Also, Weili's improving her grappling.
Exactly. And Weili's improving fight to fight, and I think the important thing to remember here is that she's been champion for a while. She's still only 34 years old.
That's crazy.
And in women's MMA, just from the little decade or so that we've seen in women's MMA, kind of being at like the top level, they have more longevity than the men.
Yeah.
Like Holly on this card, she's like 42 now or something. So
yeah.
Regardless, man, we're both on the same page there. The people's main event, in my opinion, the people's main event.
I mean, yeah, it feels like that, doesn't it?
The BMF title is on whatever the fuck that means. The BMF title is on the line. Justin, the Highlight Gaethje, won it last July, knocking out Dustin Poirier, avenging his loss from 2018. Facing the rising Max Holloway, the former champ. Blessed coming in here on a 2-5 winning streak, knocked out the Korean Zombie. Prior to that, he beat Arnold Allen in the greatest city on earth, Kansas City.
The pride of Hawaii. Ohana means family.
Damn straight, brother. Coming in.
If you guys can't tell it, we're Max fans.
We are Max, dude. I mean, we got it.
Is it back there?
See it. Yeah, I don't know if you guys see it. Like whenever Max came to Kansas City for an Invicta event.
It's a little trolly, right? Because like literally my Twitter profile picture is the one with Max all the way from a few years back.
In mine, we used to be that too, but I was like, oh, that's a little bit of favoritism. I should go ahead and take that
from
off.
like 4 years ago, though.
So yeah, but yeah. Anyways, man, I mean, Max coming in here on a 2-fight winning streak. We've only seen him at lightweight one time in the UFC, which is a loss to Dustin Poirier,
but
a fight of the year contender. So it's not like he got blown out of there. Some people, I'm sure you guys have seen the same thing as I have. Some people are just writing Max off. They're like, oh, did you see that fight with Dustin where he got destroyed? It's like, you guys.
I think at the time I thought Max won it. That's some crazy shit.
Yeah. Well, people forget how close the scorecards were. That's all I'm saying, dude. That's all I'm saying. I remember thinking at the time Max had a case for winning it, but regardless, dude, that's a completely different fight than facing Justin Gaethje.
Oh, yeah.
Gaethje is coming in here just destroying dudes. I mean, to knock out Dustin Poirier, one of the most durable guys of all time.
Get that one back, actually, too.
Yeah, not an easy thing to do. And look, man, blessed, he's gonna have it cut out for himself. So what do you make of this one?
I mean, we talked about this several months ago when it got announced, Josh, because I had some pretty strong opinions about this fight because one, it's so exciting, the quality of fighters on both sides. I mean, we have the human highlight versus one of the most loved guys in the whole sport. You couldn't bring two guys that people like a lot at a better time, especially for such a big event. I mean, they could arguably been the main event in some capacity. I think it would have been hard because they're not fighting for an actual title, which is the issue. There's a lot of stuff that freaks me out about this fight, though, Josh, going forward. I mean, for me, I feel like this fight could cause life-changing damage to both guys because they already have taken plenty of that. But I mean, coming out of this one, if one of these two guys were to be knocked out and then followed up with another knockout loss, that could be, in my opinion, a catastrophic fall for either one or both.
And also, let's also go ahead and say this: they're both getting into their mid-30s, kind of around that area.
Yeah,
so it kind of makes sense.
Gaethje, I think, 2 years older, maybe.
I'll pull it up right
Maybe Gaethje 2 years older. I think he's older than Max for a fact. I think he's 35.
The highlight is 35, going to turn 36 in November.
33 on Max's end.
Is 32, but let's be honest here. He's like, he's
in fight years.
In fight years, he's like fucking 50 or some shit.
Hey, yo, but he's killing it.
He's still killing it. Yeah, he's looking better than that. I mean, that Korean Zombie fight, he looked better than that.
Another thing we talk about that 155 fight with Dustin, you didn't mention, like Max wasn't like fully settling into 155. Like he cut the weight down to 155, but he didn't add that mass and then go to 155. This time around, Max is making it sound like he was taking that extra preparation, adding on a little muscle. He's going to cut down to 155. And I'm curious to see, how is that weight cut going to be now at 155? Is he going to have a little bit more pop? You know, is the cardio going to be affected at all? Because Max, great cardio, great output. That's what you know Max Holloway for. Not necessarily a power puncher, but you know, if it lands right, he could definitely deliver it. We saw that, but at the same time, you know, TKZ older, chin had been touched,
and also he ended that fight thinking like, I'm either gonna knock out Max or I'm going out on my fucking shield.
Yeah, and that's another thing to it. But now, who knows? Maybe that added weight could definitely benefit Max, and maybe there's a little bit more pop to the punch there. For Justin, the leg kicks, Max definitely struggled with that in the past, and in his fights with Volk, a big highlight. I'm sure they're gonna be looking at a lot of Volk footage in those fights. If anything, I think Max has his work cut out for him. I think he's definitely has a harder time studying.
He's gonna be working from behind this one. I really feel like,
because what are Dustin's losses in the UFC? Justin and Oliveira,
Connor,
Habib. No, talk about Justin.
Oh, I thought you said Dustin. My bad.
Justin. So Oliveira, Habib, Dustin, right?
I believe that's it. Yep.
Is there a sneaky Michael Johnson in there?
Eddie Alvarez.
Eddie Alvarez,
the Underground King.
My
bad.
And those fights were all lost in, like, I want to say, like, for the most part, like very different ways.
Yes.
So, and I don't know if Max is gonna be able to replicate anything of what those guys specifically did. And it's 5 rounds. I'm not gonna lie, Josh. I know where my heart's at, but I know where my brain's at. I'm gonna go Justin Gaethje. But you know, secretly, I'm always gonna be rooting for the best. The best is blessed.
Yeah, and both these guys rule, dude. I mean, and you know, I'm not gonna have an issue.
You'll be, you know something. I think if you're a fan of the sport, you'll be happy with either guy winning, but you'll be heartbroken no matter what for seeing the other one lose.
That's a good way to put it. You're gonna feel some mixed emotions no matter what. I'm happy you brought up the fact that Max is building himself up for this one. Something a lot of people will forget is whenever Max fought Dustin Poirier, that fight was not supposed to happen. Now, from what I remember, they wanted Habib Tony. Habib couldn't do the date. Go figure, right? And then Tony said no because he didn't want to fight. So then they slided in Max, who came in on they announced that fight with like a month and a half notice. They had 2 interim title fights on that card. Only time I've really done that. It was Izzy and Gastelum on the undercard.
Bangers.
The greatest 2-fight card of all time. I looked at that card yesterday. Fucking nothing else. Like Eric Anders is like in the 3rd fight below that. Just to give you perspective. But Max came in on short notice for that one. Both guys kind of did. And you could see that he was just either 145 or not cutting weight. This time, he's had like 3-4 months to build up. You could see in just the footage and his training, he's bigger now.
In his face, too.
Exactly. I want to take Max Holloway for the upset.
I thought about it, too.
I really want to. But I gotta go Justin Gaethje. He's the more proven man at the weight class. The leg kicks are going to be huge, massive.
2-time lightweight challenge, title challenger at lightweight.
Exactly. Former interim champion, currently the BMF champion. So yeah, I'm gonna go and take Justin Gaethje, dude.
The human highlight reel.
Max Holloway is working from behind in this one.
I think so. Yeah.
I think maybe down the I think regardless of how this fight goes, I think Justin Gaethje is going to kick the shit out of Max Holloway in the early aspects. I could see Max making a comeback and maybe the championship rounds because it is 5 rounds, but. Dude, those first 2-3 rounds are going to be brutal.
I think the hardest, yeah, I could agree with you. I think the hardest rounds will be the first initial rounds for Max. He's going to have growing pains. Justin doesn't have has a pretty good gas tank, but I think
nobody's better than that.
But I think if Max can set a pace in those later rounds, and if there's a little bit more power behind those shots, and with the output he could definitely present, I think it could get interesting.
Yeah, I didn't say this. I'm gonna throw a tenner on Max by knockout just for fuck it.
I think, dude, if we got I think the craziest result in this fight for me would be a Max Holloway striking master class against Gaethje.
Yeah, he's the best boxer in the UFC though. I mean,
I know, but I still would be surprised because of the punishment that could come back the other way.
I'm just messing around. Yeah, I agree with you. That being said, dude, another lightweight fight. We gotta, dude. Lightweight is fucking stacked right now. I mean, maybe Dustin's gonna get the title shot, but it looks like they're waiting to see how UFC 300 goes. There are 5 guys who can make a case for getting a title shot, which just shows you that which
is great. That's what you want in a division.
It's a good thing, but also a bad thing because it shows you that these guys are just racking up all Islam fights once a year, so it's just kind of a bad thing. But at the same time, I mean, I guess he fought twice.
We know what's crazy? What I heard someone say, they're like, arguably, Dustin Poirier, not even arguably, fact, for a fact, Dustin Poirier has a better resume than Islam Makhachev.
Well, he does. He does. I mean, I'm not trying to shit on Islam, but I mean, he got a title shot off Bobby Green. You know what I mean?
Dan Hooker, Bobby Green.
Dan Hooker came in on a week's notice, and Bobby Green came in on a week's notice. And I no disrespect to those guys, but like,
shout out them for trying.
The reason why Islam got the title shot is for twofold. Everybody knew how good he was. It's just that he wasn't getting the matchups, and for whatever reason, like, he would fall out of a fight, or maybe his opponent would fall out of a fight. A lot of weird stuff.
I think his last 3 fights leading up to the title were Thiago Moises, Dan Hooker, Bobby Green.
So
Thiago Moises gave him a good, decent little run. Give him credit.
So no, that's no disrespect to Islam. It's just like on the way up, he didn't fight the guys, but then once he got it there, you're like, okay, yeah, he is what we thought he is. You know what I mean?
Fought Oliveira, fought Volk, had trouble with Volk.
Exactly, and we'll see how it goes. But he's also the Habib connection. You know what I mean? They really want to build in that region and keep on maintaining that. So, anyways, Charles Oliveira, Du Bronx. The Oliveira era restarted last year with a knockout win over Beneil Dariush facing Arman Tsarukyan, another guy that I've hyped up for a long time, ever since his debut, whenever he did lose to Islam. But he actually gave Islam one of his toughest fights in UFC to this point. We know the deal with Arman, man. Also knocked out by poor Beneil, man. Jesus Christ. Got murdered by both these guys. Regardless, though, man, winner here, obviously potentially in line for a title shot. What do you make of it? Arman coming here, by the way, a 2-1 favorite, which is
I think that's
shocking.
insane.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Oliver is not even, at this time, even arguable, one of the best lightweights to ever fight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he beat Gaethje, beat Dustin, beat Chandler, beat Dariush, and all the names before that I can't think of off the top of my head, but there's so many.
Miller twice.
Yeah. And being doubted every single time.
Yeah, Kevin Lee.
13 fight win streak, right? Before we got broke. I mean, the guy is simply amazing. And his desire to want to get to that title again, Josh, even after he lost to Islam Makhachev, getting submitted himself and being like, I want that one back. There is something you got to fucking respect about that. Now, Arman, young, hungry, he believes in himself. He's shown that he could give in the past Islam a hard fight. Now, they bring up that Islam might have had staff at that time.
Well,
it was earlier in his career, but at the same time, Arman was younger, on short notice. Also, Arman had some stuff he could, throw out there too. But he never brings any of that up. And I'm not saying Islam brings that up, but people around Islam bring that up. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. The thing is, right now, I think Oliveira is gonna pull through one more time on us and try to get to that title. He's gonna try to get that Islam fight one more time. I feel like he's not gonna retire without at least giving him one more good run at it, one more good nick at it, because he believes he can beat him. I love that he has that self belief. He has a great camp. His family in Brazil, and when I'm not even referring to his little family, but I'm talking about the people who were around him. When he was cutting weight, you have that crazy picture of him being completely surrounded, and him in that towel.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, one of polarizing images out there in the whole sport. I think Arman's he's young, he's cocky, what you love to see, but I think he might be in over his head a little bit, maybe looking past Oliveira, which a lot of people have done. Done. And once again, I think he's even talking about the narrative of Oliveira being a quitter. once a quitter, always a quitter.
Yeah, I saw Gaethje. Somebody asked about this fight. We'll see. He's like, we're gonna see Oliveira quit again. I'm like, man, do you ever learn? Like, what do you like?
What did Oliveira do to you?
I have no idea, dude. But he fucking hates Oliveira.
Did he forget that? Did he forget that happened to him? I'm just saying.
Maybe. I wouldn't remember.
Isn't that kind of crazy? The last guy he lost to is on this card too. Just throwing it out there.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah. I'm in full agreement. And I think it's so funny that this fight is happening 1 month after we saw Benoit Saint Denis, another guy who I hyped up for a long time, coming in here. He's like a 2.5 to 1 favorite over Dustin Poirier. I'm like, did you guys watch these fucking fights? You guys watch the fights? You know what I mean? It's another fight, man. I think can Arman Tsarukyan win? Yes, there's a clean pathway to victory for him as well, right? But dude, Charles Du Bronx Oliveira, dude. I'm not really sure why people think he's won. I mean, the guy has one loss in his last 14, maybe actually 15, excuse me. Islam Makhachev.
Let him know, King. Let him know.
Yeah, only one in his last 15. Came in here, knocked up Beneil. And look, I like Arman. But Arman's not proven at the top level. He's just not. He stepped up a couple different times. He faced Islam years ago, and he looked great. No disrespect. But outside of that, who else has he faced at the top? Beneil, who had gotten murked like 2 months before he fought.
Oliveira softened him up for him.
Well, you could definitely make the case. Who else did he face? I can't remember his name right now.
He had a close fight against Gamrot.
Gamrot, which I thought he won.
Uh-huh.
He lost it, though, by decision. And then you look at the rest of the resume. It's got guys that are good. Joel Alvarez, Demiraz Imagulov, but guys that are not top level.
Guys that are good but not great.
Correct. This is another fight where, like, dude, they're pushing a guy straight to the top without facing some of the other guys, in the rankings.
I don't think he had a bad lead up though.
No. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is we haven't really seen him against the top 5 talent, not a guy like Charles Oliveira. And that's why I'm so surprised people are like, oh yeah, dude, Arman's gonna go in there and fucking fuck him up. 2-1 favorite, just like I don't get it, man. I don't see it.
I think it's a good matchup regardless for Arman though. Like the right match, the fight he deserved now.
I can see it going either way, but I'm gonna go ahead and take Dubrowns.
Yeah.